Welcome everybody to a new episode of. Nah, just kidding. Nah, just kidding. Welcome to. I'm calling the meeting to order. Welcome to the March 27th meeting of the Raleigh Immigrant and Hispanic and Immigrant Affairs Board. Before we get started, I want a couple of things. Elke is not able to join us this afternoon, as well as Michelle. Both have let us know, Andrea and I, that they're not going to be able to join. Ara, did you have something?
Yeah, Pepe Caudillo, he as well sent a message. I think he had some family emergency and he has to be out of the country.
Okay.
He sends everybody well wishes.
All right, so keeping those three folks in mind.
And Elke.
And Elke, yeah, Elke. So keeping those three folks in mind, Andrea, can you, I'll call the meeting to order. Can you call the roll and then we'll move forward from there.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'll do this by roll call and you can either raise your hand, I can see you right now, or, tell me that you are here. So Eliezer Posada.
I'm somewhat here.
Scott Phillips. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think he may have also sent us notice ahead of time that he was not able to be here today. Okay, Anne Mukua Kyoko, Sophie. Andrea Martinez, I am here. Evan Smith. Hello. Ann Robertson.
Here.
Awesome. Rasha Mohammed.
Present.
Great. Virginia Rojas. Great. And then Michelle said, and then Jordan Crumroy. Great. And Adiel Martinez Ventura.
Here.
Great. And so we have now completed our roll call for today.
Perfect. And it seems like we do have quorum, so we'll move on to the next thing on our agenda, and that is approval of the agenda. As y'all saw, y'all received the agenda earlier this week. There has been one small amendment that is adding to the leadership report a statement on a statement of solidarity with the AAPI community. So aside from that small change to the agenda, is there any other edits or any motions at the time?
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right, so Ann Robertson has moved the agenda as amended, seconded by Fabian. All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Seeing none, the ayes do have it. Motion carries. Agenda is approved. All right, in pursuing to our agenda, now it's the minutes of last meeting. Has everyone had some time to review the minutes? Is there any edits that you want to make, or is there any motions on the floor? All right, seeing no edits, is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right, there's been a motion to approve the minutes of the February meeting done by Jordan, seconded by Adil. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Seeing none, the ayes do have it. Motion carries. Okay, look at that. We're going swiftly through this agenda, y'all. Next up, we have staff reports. I know that Ara is translating for Virginia this afternoon, so Dimitris is going to be joining us to do that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Saturday. Good to see everyone. Currently, we have the Fair Housing Hearing Board coming up on April 23rd. I believe Arcelis mentioned that during the last meeting. There's a lot of things going around within the Asian community. So I heard you wanted to produce a written statement. So if Arcelis has already went through the steps with you, I can go over that if she has not. But we are in solidarity. We also are having something we call like talk inclusion. Has anyone heard of like the lunch and learn series? Most jobs do between like lunch and you come together. So we have that called like talk inclusion, and we're going to be having a panel in May, representative from the Asian community to come and discuss what is going on, how they're feeling, and just some equitable things that we can be doing to partner with them. Right now, that's our last update. The weather's starting to break, so make sure you get out and get some good sunlight.
I love that recommendation. Is there any questions for Demetrius before we move on to the next point? And when we get to the statement, Demetrius, I would probably ask for your assistance in that portion. But I know, Andrea, you had your hand up. Is there something?
Yeah, so I guess it's just something to ask and also like keeping in mind for the board. So today, as a part of our agenda, we are going to be announcing the different committee assignments. And I have already pre-prepared a statement that we can, of course, make any edits to as a board. So I guess I will just be looking forward to you and the other staff members, Demetrius, and how we go about doing the process of putting out this public statement, especially in concert with our newly formed communications committee, subcommittee.
Okay. You want the quick overhead, or is that a side conversation?
We have it in our leadership report. So when we get to it, I'll bring you on if that's okay.
Oh, of course. Just let me know. I'm just here to serve. Oh, sidebar. Thank you for the pom-poms, Miss Ann.
Oh, did you see those? Oh, I got those too.
So I told Arcelis that I got them. It was so the mail is a little messed up right now within the city of Raleigh, just with COVID, everything. And they was like, "Hey, Demetrius, you got a package?" I said, "Nah, Demetrius don't have no package." And so I looked at it. I said, "Lord, what is this?" And so I seen the pom-pom. So no, thank you for that. They're actually sitting on my desk. So no, thank you for the encouragement. Hey, well, I'm not in my office right now, but thank you. Yes. So I'm your biggest cheerleader, and I'm always here to support. So thank you. I needed that day. So it was a great pick me up. So I appreciate it.
I'll second that. And so much. I know I mentioned it last time, but I was in my office last time. But these are the awesome pom-poms that we got.
Yes.
Both of these guys have said, "I'll be your cheerleader." I thought, well, cheerleader, you need a pom-pom.
Exactly. See, you're so forward thinking. Thank you.
Yes. But no,
That's
thank you.
awesome.
Okay. Perfect. So thank you for the updates. I know that we'll be sending more information out for the board as different hearings come in. I know that there's the Fair Housing Conference that's coming up on the 23rd of April. I will be shooting more information as we get that for everyone. Okay, so moving on to the leadership report, we have a couple. This is a pretty big section, so I'm trying to get through it fairly quickly. First is the appointments for folks in subcommittees, then the letter that we are sending to we sent to the board, like we talked about last meeting, kind of touching base on where leadership stands with subcommittees, and then the statement. So the first three should be fairly quick, right? So the only moment of debate really is going to be the statement, if there is any. So we'll start with the assignments for subcommittees. Leadership team sat and looked at what folks sent in, at where people wanted to be, and we've created that list, ensuring that we keep the subcommittees as even as possible, so there's not like 10 people on this one and like one in each other ones, right? So Andrea, do you have that slide?
Yes, so I have that list, and then I will also be sending it to everyone by email so that you can reference it at any point in the future. And just to add to that as well, just because you may be situated in a certain committee as of right now does not mean that we will not be working collaboratively, of course, as a board. So even if you didn't get your top pick, we are going to be working on all these issues together. So I'll just go ahead and read them off. Pepe Cadillo will be in communications. Eliezer Posada will be in community engagement. Scott Phillips will be in economic development. Sophie and Kyoko will be in community engagement as well. Andrea Martinez, will be in economic development. Fevin Smith will be in social justice and public safety. Ann Robertson will be in economic development. Rasha Mohammed will be in social justice and public safety. Virginia Rojas will be in economic development. Elke Milan will be in communications. Michelle Bermio Bertancourt will be in social justice and public safety. Jordan Comroy will be in social justice and public safety. And Adiel Martinez Ventura will be in communications. So that's as it stands today. And I will be again sending this out directly following this meeting about the different committee assignments. And I guess I'll hand it right over to you, Eleazar, to I guess speak about more about the statement. And I can share my screen in order to blow that up so everyone can see it as we read it.
Perfect. So that's been the assignments. And of course, Andrea's going to be sending them over. Keep in mind that we will have a couple of folks who the city will be appointing to the board. So as Andrea mentioned at the beginning, these assignments are in place until our new fiscal year, in which case when we have the rest of the folks who are going to be appointed, then we can look again at where people stand in the committees. Before we get to the statement, there's a couple of things. First, for the way that we want the committees to work is that members of the committee will pick their meeting dates that reflect best on the members of that committee. And the members of the committee will choose who their chair for the subcommittee will be, right? So once the folks in there, and Andrea, I'll rely on you to help us make sure that those dates are in play, so that then everyone knows what those dates are. So just because you're not part of a committee doesn't mean that you can't show up and listen in and get some input. It's just when that subcommittee goes for any official votes, only the members of that subcommittee will have a vote for those matters, right? But of course, anything that passes through any subcommittees gets brought up to the larger one. And if there is any voting matters, everyone will have a vote in the larger.
Would it be helpful if in sending out those committee assignments, I just put everyone in the same email chain along with the chairs?
That would be great. That way folks know and y'all can coordinate with each other. And then keep in mind that the person you select as a chair will be doing committee reports, right? So that's reporting on what the committee meant for that month, what decisions were come up or anything comes up, right? Whether it's communications, we saw this and we want to participate in this statement, or we want to send this, we participate in this interview and we want to share it out, or whatever it looks like, right? For community engagement, there's multitude of events that we want to be a part of. The board has to decide what to be. It looks different depending on the committee, but the person you choose as chair will be the one that then reports back to everyone. Is that clear for folks? Does that make sense, or do y'all need any additional information? I know that in the email that Andrea will send, you'll have your subcommittee partners and other members, right? And y'all can pick. Does that make sense? And also clarify that anyone in leadership in the overall group cannot be in leadership in the subcommittee. We've made that decision so that folks, can build on their own leadership within their own subcommittees. All right, any questions on that before we move on to the next point? Seeing none, very quick update. As you know, last February, we came to the board with an official vote of sending a letter to council of folks who had missed and not been able to join the meetings per our bylaws for their replacement. That letter has been sent, so an update on that. That all is in the minutes, and I will make sure that the minutes of this meeting reflect that has been sent and folks have been notified. Is there any questions on that. And then, of course, the council will decide when they will appoint anyone in their place. Yes, Anne.
I don't know if we are able to have any input about the new people who'll be coming on the board, but as was pointed out at the last meeting, the second highest number of people speaking a foreign language or people speaking Chinese here in Raleigh. And so I'm hoping, particularly with what's been happening recently, of course, with Asians, I'm hoping that when new members are added to the board, that we could get someone who is Chinese speaking.
Yeah, and I think I'll rely on Demetrius because I think maybe we can send that as a recommendation or make that comment, but Demetrius, I'll let you answer that part.
Y'all making me work today, but it's all good. No, of course. You can make the recommendation and you can frame it around what's been going on with recent events. You definitely want to make sure that we're inclusive to the Asian population. So when the letter goes to council for the new alternates or the new members, you can put that in there. We would love to make sure we're inclusive with the Asian community. So whenever the email goes out, we can just put that in there as well, and it goes straight up.
So I'm not sure. So I sent the email to you, or where do I send that recommendation?
Can you, and to make it everyone who wants to, as we're drafting this recommendation or like this, ask to council of who to consider, like what priorities to consider as we're looking at new people. If everyone wants to send any comments or concerns they have to Andrea, and then we can all put it all together, and then it'd be just one email from the entire board saying, these are some of the priorities we want to see, reflected on decisions made by council on who joins. And that way it's also easier for Demetrius, so he's not getting like so many emails from everyone. Sorry, Andrea, I gave you more work, but like if we can consolidate that into one, and then that way it also becomes more cohesive as a board.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so yeah, we are gonna, so if you have any comments or anything like that, please send those over to Andrea, within the next week or so, so we can make sure to have that ready for the language done by our next meeting, or at least by the time the minutes are sent out or the agenda sent out, so folks can review that before we move forward with that. Does that make that good? Last thing before I have for the statement, and I think I already talked a little bit about this, is the way that folks in leadership and across the board will probably want to participate in several different committees. At the moment, we've assigned everyone to one. There is a possibility of reassignation once the new fiscal year begins, as well as there is a possibility for people to be in multiple committees as we move forward. We didn't want to put anyone in that position just yet. We want to make sure that we fill the full board, we have full membership, and then go from there. But that doesn't mean that you can't go and attend one of the meetings that is already set, right? So if I'm in community engagement and I want to go to the communications committee, right? If they are going to be meeting at Monday at 2 and I have the time, I can go in and sit in and participate. But again, I won't be a voting member of that subcommittee, but I will be able to give feedback. Anything that comes back to the full board, we will be board members on. And I know that leadership wants to sit in as many as we can. I know Elke, myself, and Andrea are very interested in a lot of them, as I'm sure that everyone is. But we also recognize that we have pretty busy schedules, and we want to make sure to not overload folks. But just keep that in mind as we move forward. Andrea, am I missing anything there?
Nope, I think you've hit all the high points. So
perfect. Okay, so now if there's no questions on committee, subcommittees, we can move on to our next or a real point of debate this afternoon, or point of discussion. All right, seeing none, here's where, Andrea, if you want to share your screen. As you saw over the last number of weeks, and unfortunately, it's not the first time, nor do I, we really believe it's going to be the last time that members of the AAPI communities and people of color have been targeted. And we want to make sure that as a board, we also stand in solidarity, and make sure that folks know that, specifically in the AAPI community, know that we're here also for them, right? For all of our members of our immigrant and our immigrant community. So, and that was awesome and drafted this language. So I'll let her present, and then we'll go from there as a board.
Yes, so like I said before, I'm definitely open to any edits, additions to this, changes, depending on what we want to express as our priorities to this community as the board. So I'll just read it out real fast. We, as the Raleigh Hispanic and Immigrant Affairs Board, express our deep sympathy and sorrow for the Raleigh, Asian, and Pacific Islander communities. Racism in any form is reprehensible, and the recent violence against these communities is no exception. We believe that ignoring the racism present in these crimes is both irresponsible and harmful. The AAPI citizens are valued members of our community, and they are vital in our work towards ensuring Raleigh is a home to all. This community deserves our support in pursuit of justice now and always. We, as the Raleigh Hispanic and Immigrant Affairs Board, stand with the Asian and Pacific Islander communities.
Okay, so here's where, Demetrius, I also want your assistance in. Once we have our final language, what would be the next steps?
Great question. Once you finalize everything, once all the board members have approved it, next we will work with, once you send it to RSLs and myself, we will work to get it posted on your website and also to send out and share with the council. Most likely it'll go to council through a manager's update or through an email, but we will work on that as well. And just FYI, Dr. Caesar is on vacation for the next week and a half. And so she's normally the person that sends it out to council, but I will try to work on that in her absence.
Perfect. Thank you, Demetrius. And sorry we're making you work so much this meeting.
Oh, it's fine. I'm just messing with you. Y'all are fine. I don't mind this. Y'all are good in my book.
So knowing the process, right, and looking through the statements, now the floor is open for any discussion. First of all, are you okay? Are you in support of having a statement go out in support? And if so, any edits, comments, or changes, any edits or comments or anything that you would want to add to the statement?
Especially communications subcommittee members, if they have any ideas about getting this far and wide.
So I see Anne has her hand up.
Andrea, this is fabulous. I love your choice of words. I love reprehensible. I think this is great. If you wrote this, please pat yourself on the back. It is absolutely fabulous. I think it's a great choice of words. One minor thing, after racism in any form is reprehensible, you've got a semicolon there. Either leave the semicolon and take out the word and, or take out the semicolon, one or the other. But other than that, it's perfect. Okay, there you go. That works.
Like a good semicolon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now the semicolon makes sense. Perfect. It is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
All right, I will want to hear from everyone on the board. Thank you, Anne. Who wants to go next?
This is Rasha. Good afternoon, everyone. I think this statement is beautifully written. Just listening to Andrea read it made me feel really sad. It made me feel sad for the community that's experienced this most recent act of violence, and I really appreciate our group being so cognizant and paying attention to the things that are going on. So I thought it was. I think it is beautiful, and I agree with Anne. It's beautifully written. Gracias, Andrea. Thank you.
Thank you, Raja. Jordan, I know that you unmuted before. Is there something that you wanted to add?
Sí, hay algo más que
No, go ahead. Somebody else was about to talk. Oh, maybe it was just me. Okay. Yeah, no, I echo, thank you all for putting this together. I have a couple questions, which my first question is, has the city, whether it's council, mayor, already made a statement and or offered any resources? Like, are there like, is the city conducting like listening sessions within communities, or I'm just wondering where this fits into the larger picture.
I'll punt that over to Demetrius.
Hey, great question. I mentioned earlier we're going to be conducting almost like a processing session or a listening session in the next couple of weeks, more so. I think it's April. I believe it's April or May. I'm not 100% sure. I have to get on the date. But we're doing something called Talk Inclusion, where we're having different groups come in and really educate and talk about what's going on in their state communities. So we do have that scheduled for the Asian community to come in and to have that conversation. We do have a couple of individuals who identify as Asian ethnicities within the city of Raleigh. They're going to be speaking about their heritage and what's going on in their community and how we can be an ally for them as well. I'm unsure. I have to research to see if council has released a statement to date with what's going on. Also, I can check social media real quick to see if anyone put out anything on social media as well. But in the theme of welcoming and making sure Raleigh is one for all, I think this is in the same avenue as that we're trying to do.
Yeah, Jordan, is there a particular reason, you know?
No, more so just curious. Well, yeah, I mean, I think city council resolutions have this is one of those things where like statements are really important. They can't be all that you do, but they have to be done. Like words matter from leadership. So I think the reason I was asking if council had done one is because if not, it might be good to maybe like make a suggestion by sending this to council that they also have an opportunity that they have a responsibility as leaders to also be creating stuff like this. And like April or May is a little late if Asian communities in Raleigh are struggling with this, if hate crimes locally are going up. So maybe there's a way that this statement from our board can serve as like an example, an impetus, a fire for council to either, have a resolution, an anti-discrimination ordinance, a statement, whatever it be, but like maybe this could be an example to them. So I was wondering if they had already done that, but if not, maybe there's a way that this could be a soft encouragement for them.
Yeah, and along those lines, Demetrius, when we send the finalized statement to council, is there a way to add, like as a private or like a non-part of the statement message, that the board also encourages the city to be cognizant of events such as these going around, to ensure that their statements are made in solidarity and community members are feel they're heard, or something along those lines, so that it's not part of the statement that goes out to public, but we are also letting council know that we not only do we encourage, but we expect council to be making statements. Of course, the idea is that if we were in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to make these statements, right? But we know we're not. And specifically when communities of color are feeling vulnerable, we do look to our leaders, right? So, kind of like a gentle nudge towards understanding that these kinds of statements are very important. Not that they don't, but to actively be creating statements that would increase our community of color's trust and welcomeness and feeling of home in our area. Does that make sense?
Yeah, encourage for a process to exist to do so in a quicker fashion.
Yeah. But thank you, Jordan, for bringing that up, because that's very important.
Yeah, and I'm happy to provide some examples of cities that did statements quickly. Roanoke produced a statement, the mayor, I think the day after. Greensboro is doing listening sessions this week with AAPI communities. So there's other communities that if it's helpful to point to, could be great. My only recommendation, I think the statement is spot on. My only recommendation, and you might pick up that this is like a thing of mine, is to change citizens to residents.
Yeah.
Where it says the AAPI citizens. That's my only edit to the statement. I think it's great.
Oh, it's on the third line.
There we go. Thank you. Big one.
Yes, I didn't catch that. Thank you, Jordan. All right, so I want to hear from Virginia Fabian. Oh.
Yeah. So for Araceli Torres, interpreting for Virginia, Virginia says she likes the statement, very well written, and it reflects not only herself, but her family, and specifically her daughter, who has, had a lot of questions and concerns with regard to this. So she thinks this is, it even helps with youth at this moment. So she reflects it a lot with her daughter.
Thank you, Virginia. All right, so I want to hear from, yeah, go ahead, Fabian.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. This is beautifully written. So I want to say thank you. But I also second what Jordan was saying. I think sending our voice or statement in a timely manner saves a lot of other things, and it also shows what we stand for. So I second encouraging them to actually do it sooner. Sometimes we just take time in the way we react for humanity and for something that we don't support, thinking and procedures and all that. And I understand all that, but sometimes you just have to pass all through that and react and show your solidarity in a timely manner. So that's very important. But thank you, Andrea, for doing this. It's beautiful. I can also relate to this reaction. I don't know if you all know, I am from Eritrea, and my mom is actually from Ethiopia, and there is a lot of genocide happening in Ethiopia, and people speaking out by Twitter and all that, the whole world heard it. So speaking up really, really is part of the solution. So I totally support this work that we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing. Yeah, that was very powerful. Thank you. Adiel, I think you're the only one we haven't heard from.
Yeah, I think it's really great of this statement. I thank you, Andrea, for coming up with this. It is really important for us as the board to be able to express or, how we feel about it. And I think this is exactly what we can, how we're feeling as a board regarding the situation that is occurring at this moment. So I do thank you, and it's really important for us to get it out there, even if the city perhaps hasn't done something similar. Maybe this, it could show us as the board being proactive in this matter and being active, especially because that's one of the things that we're here as a board, because this really affects, and this is one of the purposes why this board was created. So I just think it's great.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing your opinions and for helping. For those who made it a couple of edits, thank you for making this statement just a little bit better. And that you did a great job. Thank you so much for bringing this to the board. I will the only thing that I would add is that statements are very important and we do need to have them out in a timely manner. But actions, for me, speak louder than words, right? So we definitely want to put out statements. We want folks in the town to do these in timely manners, but we also want to make sure that we're creating programs, we're creating different events or whatever that looks like so that our communities can voice their concerns, can voice their opinions, can be heard, and also we can provide resources, not just to the AAPI community, but all of our community members as different things come down the road. So I will, that will be the last of my statement for this, and I will put it up. I'll leave the floor open for any motions at the time.
I have a quick question,
Oh,
Elise.
yeah.
Well, I was wondering if, as the members of the communications committee, because I was thinking about what everyone was saying, which was so important about putting those things out in a timely manner, these for things as they happen, whether we could create one even internally within our own board, a process to put out statements and also put people in touch with resources for things as they happen. I would love to, have a hub for us to speak on things like what Fevin was speaking about, the genocide in Ethiopia, and us be a place where, we can, we have something to say and do about it.
Actually, so what I would propose is that the first task of the communications subcommittee is to look at different ways of setting a process for the board to do statements, right? And then maybe that's also look into what the city has, if the city has anything. I know it's not an easy task that can be done overnight, right? It takes some time to build these, but maybe ultimately, if we create a process that works for us, we can then turn that into the city and say, this is the process that we adopted. Consider doing something similar. So I guess if the folks on the communication subcommittee are okay with that, that will be your first task. It's Adiel, well, Elki's not here. And who's the other person?
Adiel, Elke, Pepe.
Okay, well, Adiel, you're the only one at the moment. So when y'all set up your meeting, can you relay that to folks and see where we're at? And if there's something y'all come up with that we need any assistance with or someone that we can help, please let us know.
Definitely. And just to make sure, we're trying to look up for a way, like a process for us to be able to make statements like on a timely manner, or I'm a little confused in that portion. What is it that we're looking or like trying to do?
Yeah, so like a process for the board to not only put statements in a timely manner, but also like put other situations that we might, or other statements that we might need to put, right? So, whether it's about a situation that like Fabian brought up, Fabian brought up, or about anything else, right, that's going on, kind of put those out in a timely manner as the board feels it's important to put them out, right? So it's just a process, an internal process for us to put these statements out in a timely manner with emergency or for otherwise. And then my ad was that once we have that set in stone, or like that process kind of like thought out, use it as a template to go to the city and say, maybe do this, with the other boards or whatever it looks like, right? But that's like further down the road.
Got it. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you, Andrea, for bringing that up. So with that being done, now I will open the floor for any motions on this statement.
I move that we accept this statement as written and we turn it over to the city council and also to our communications committee to get it published.
All right, so there's a motion to approve of the statement and send it to council. Anna, you with okay with the friendly amendment of adding comments from the board to the council in timely statements. Are you friendly to amendment like that? Okay, well, so the motion has been done to approve of the statement and send it to council with comments from the board. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I second.
All right, it was moved by Ann, seconded first by Andrea, third by Rasha. All in favor, we'll do a roll call. Andrea, can you call the roll?
Sure. Okay. We'll go from the top. Eleazar.
Aye.
Okay. Febin.
Aye.
Ann Robertson.
Aye.
Rasha Mohammed.
Aye.
Virginia Rojas. Great. Okay. Jordan.
Aye.
Adiel Martinez Ventura.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. I'm sorry, you're supposed to say that.
Yeah, motion passes unanimously. Thank you everyone for this great statement, and thank you again for putting this together. We will send it over to Aracelis and Demetrius for the next move. Thank you, sir. Okay, let me go back to my agenda. Old business is the planning of Hispanic and Immigrant Community Listening Session. Given that we do have subcommittees now, I would be in favor of asking the Community Engagement Committee to take this and come back with plans at the next meeting. Is there any objections to that, Demetrius?
I forgot this part of my update, so don't judge me, okay? It's Saturday. We're gonna figure it out one day. I was gonna say, in combination to the community engagement you want to do, the Police Advisory Board will be conducting a listening session through surveys within a couple of weeks to engage the community residents to determine what qualities they want in the next police chief. So that will be done through a survey that will be posted on the website, and more information is still to come. So if that can be of use, we can always do a survey and post it online, or we can do something through Zoom just to, use a platform that you already have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that update. That's good. All right, so if there is no objections, I will task the Community Engagement Subcommittee to create a plan or initial plan or draft of a plan for this listening session and present to the board at the next meeting for the board to deliberate. Any objections to that? Perfect. Seeing none, we move on to our last voting item of the agenda before any public comments, and that is for the people whose terms will be extended for an additional year. Andrea, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 1 professional and 2 community spots, correct?
It's 2 professional and 1 community.
I flipped it. Okay, yeah. So we have 2 professional slots and 1 community. So we'll do those segments at a time. So let's first start with professional. We asked folks to let us know if they would be willing to extend, or they would be wanting to be to extend their term by a year. And for the professional category, there was 2 slots open. Andrea, remind me who sent in asking to be considered.
Everyone who emailed me on this point, so let me see. Jordan indicated interest, who's a professional member, as did Adiel. Rasha expressed interest, as well as, and Anne, you are a professional member as well, correct?
Yes.
Yes, indicated interest in doing that, as well as, well, no, Pepe is a community member, so.
So at this point, we have 4 folks in the professional category who had wanted to be considered for an extension of 1 year of their current term. And that is Anne, Jordan, Rasha, and Adiel. Before we move on to kind of voting on 2 of them to extend, I want to open the floor to anyone. If you're still interested in being considered, let's start with that. And it's just a simple yes or no, and then we can go from there. And are you still wanting to be considered for an additional year?
Yes.
Yes. Jordan.
Yes.
Adiel.
Yes.
Raja.
Yes.
Perfect. Oh, I love that. Okay, so I love the commitment. I love it. So Demetrius, because Ada is translating, this vote, how do we do it? Did I just make something up?
Sorry, I was looking for my mute button. So individuals are willing to stay another year, correct?
Yes.
Literally just make a note of it and just say, and we can work on it on our end. Just let me know the individuals who are willing to stay on an additional year. And then that way we can just make sure everything is updated on the appointment letter and all that good stuff. It's not really like a real formal process. It's literally just adding another year to a sheet of paper, literally for the most part for our records.
Oh, okay.
It's not like a whole big, oh, sorry, Arcelis.
So just FYI, for the professional, I believe you have 3 spots available. And then for the community, you only have 1, because I think the only professional is Eleazar. And so there's 7 spots available for 3-year term. Out of the 7, 4 are for professional and 3 are for community. 2 have been taken by community from Andrea and Elke, and then 1 by Eleazar. So that means there's 3 professional, and so there's 3 folks you can choose from there, and then just 1 from community, just as an FYI.
Okay. So and this so all right. So we need to pick 3 folks from professional for that term extension, and we have 4 folks who are wanting to do that. Okay, let's do this. We can't send out a ballot, right? We have to do a voice vote, or how do we do this vote?
If you want to vote, then everyone has to vote. However, I just want to put this caveat. I think everyone knows. Literally, we're just trying to make sure everyone doesn't roll up at the same time. So just because if you do a 2-year term doesn't mean you're going to be leaving. That means you just have to, you're eligible to be reappointed right after that 2 years. That's the only difference, just so individuals don't all leave at once. So that's the big difference between the 2-year and the 3-year term. So after your 2nd year, you can be reappointed. And after your 3rd year, you can be reappointed. That's why it's just like a staggered term.
Okay.
So either, because board leadership, that's what you have board leadership for. Either you can just assign or you can leave it up to people to volunteer for it.
Okay, so we have 4 folks who have volunteered for 3 slots. Is everyone okay with then leadership from those 4 picking 3 to take that additional slot? Yeah. All right, so if that works for everyone, do we have consensus on that? From the 4 who have shown interest, Elke and then myself will sit down, look at the 3. If the 4 want to just send us a quick email saying, this is why. It doesn't have to be extensive, right? Just a quick, I want to be considered because of X, helps us in our deliberations. Super simple. We're not trying to make it, we don't need an essay. I mean, if you want to send an essay, that's all you, but I'd rather not have to read 4 essays. So just a quick, this is why, and it helps us as we deliberate. Andrea, with the moving on to the community, I know we have 1 spot, and how many folks from community shown interest? You're on mute.
I'm looking at my list now, and sorry, as I was editing, I believe some of that information was taken out. But if I remember correctly, I know, Fevin, you had expressed some interest, from what I understand, by email. And then Michelle, but she's a professional member. We're still discussing the process of going from agency to agency there. So it would be 7 in that category.
I think Pepe, I think was.
Oh, yes,
Added, right,
Pepe.
Pepe?
Yeah, I had him here at the top now and I see him. Yeah, Pepe.
So Fevin, I saw that maybe that was not correct. Did you mean to put your name?
Sorry, I'm working off the same document. So I think I'm like back to leading and adding things.
No, I don't think so.
Thank you, Fevin. Okay, well then it would be Pepe.
It would be Pepe. All right, there you go. So Pepe has shown interest in a 1 slot, and he's the only person from community who has expressed that interest, unless anyone else in this meeting who is part of the community cohort wants to express any interest. Going once, going twice. Pepe will be put forward for the extension of that 1 year. All right, look at that. We got to the whole agenda with like 6 minutes to spare. Oh wait, public comments. Ara or Demetrius, is there any public comments?
No public comments that I'm aware of.
Look at that, y'all. We made it 6 minutes early. Anyone want to do any comments, questions, concerns, anything anyone from the board wants to bring up before we adjourn? Seeing none, is there any points or motions on the floor at this time?
I motion that we close this meeting.
There's been a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
A second.
All right, Andrea has moved to adjourn the meeting. Fabian has seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
No one. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.